Good afternoon. Oh, actually, good morning. Never mind afternoon. We're not even there. We're not even at the afternoon time zone yet. I think I'm a little bit ahead of time here. How's everybody doing? Let me just adjust things here a little bit so you can hear me a little better. How's that? All good? Let me just adjust the mic just a smidge so that you can hear me a little clearer. How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday. I was looking forward to Sunday all week, guys. Honestly, it was a crazy week for me. Felt like a month, to be honest with you. But finally Sunday's here so we can enjoy our company and a little bit of gear talk and start off the Sunday morning the right way. How's everybody? I hope you guys are all doing well. I just wanted to say hi to the guys that are already here. Don't forget to answer the poll question, guys. I usually like to put a poll question online, a day before, maybe 2 days before, depending on the schedule, just so that we can kind of stimulate our conversation a little bit. So there's a poll question on the community tab. And I invite you guys to take a look at that. Let me just do something real quick here. I have a setting enabled here that I want to disable because it's going to wreak havoc. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I usually do this ahead of time, making sure everything is good, but I was a little short on time. So let me just do that now. All right, good. That's done. So good morning, guys. Rico, Ben, how are you doing? Paul, how's Paul? Any new pedals, Paul? Any new gear? Wayne, I hope you're doing well too, Wayne. How are you doing? We got Ken here from Ontario. Nice to see you, Ken. Good to have you here, buddy. We are always looking for some new faces and more company on these Sunday shows. So I'm happy to see you here. And Jack has some great news. He says it's a new guitar day for him. He got Leo Jam's American Flag Les Paul. All right, Jack. Very cool. How are you enjoying your gear? Isn't it always awesome when you get a new guitar? I haven't had a new guitar day in a long time, and I'm overdue. I don't have anything that I'm eyeballing just yet, but during the conversations that we have here on Sundays, it kind of stimulates the appetite a little bit. It broadens the horizons a little bit more. So who knows what we're going to end up with by the end of the show. We always have a disclaimer here on Addicted to Gear. We are not responsible for any encouragement of guitar acquisition or gear acquisition. If that causes any kind of friction between you and your better half, that's beyond our control. Just let it be said that it's we're clarifying that aspect of things right off the bat here. Let's see. And guys, for the newcomers here, if you're joining in on the show, we definitely want you to participate in the chat. You have to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, guys. I always say that at the beginning. You guys the regulars are probably getting sick of hearing me say that over and over again. But for the newcomers, I just want to make sure that they have an opportunity to join in, because it's always great to have new people here. So please subscribe to the channel. You can do it right now. And within a minute, you'll be able to chat on the live stream. All right? So you won't miss out. So, Mortified Baseman, nice to see you, buddy. How are you doing? Why are you mortified? It's great to be able to say that we have not just guitarists here, but bass players too. That's cool. Very cool. And Presley says happiness equals guitar collection plus 1. So does that mean you just increased your numbers there, Presley? What did you get? Anything interesting? Marcel says he got a new baby pink Musi Virgo Classic Telecaster last night and he loves it. So the music guitars are interesting, and I wanted to check them out, Marcel. I actually wanted to check them out for myself because they look like they could be good. I'm not really sure. I haven't really played one myself, but it's good to hear that you love it. Anything specific you love about it, Marcel? And what are you comparing it to? Hey Shane, nice to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining. All right, so it's getting there, guys. We're almost getting into a full house. The regulars are here already. A few new names, which is good. And Eddie says my rig is now a Strandberg and a Spark Mini. Everything's shrinking. Everything. I hope not everything, Eddie, if you know what I mean. But there's nothing wrong with shrinking rigs, as long as it stops at the rig and doesn't go beyond that. But you know, I've been trying to do the same. I've been trying to lighten the load. I'm really tired of carrying a lot of stuff whenever I go to rehearsals. It's really like, especially in the winter time, I have to say, because it's not fun to have to carry like a bunch of things in the winter, in the snow and the ice, and you're trying to find a parking spot close by, because we rehearse at a rehearsal studio, which we rent by the hour. And so, you know, sometimes you get parking right outside the door. Sometimes you're like a block away. And in the wintertime here, when there's snow and ice on the ground and slush and all that kind of stuff, it really is not fun having to carry a guitar, either an amp or a multi-effects unit, usually another bag with all of the cables and wires and perhaps notation, and of course, sometimes you got to change your shoes because you're not going to go inside the rehearsal space with boots on that are full of slush and all that kind of stuff. So it gets annoying. So anything you can do to lighten the load is always good, in my opinion. I've been trying to do that with a Fractal, and it helps a little, but you're still carrying quite a few things. So let me start from the beginning. Let's just jump right into it, but let's just start from the top. So first of all, poll question, guys. Please answer that one. It's a fun one today. We'll visit that poll question a little later on. And let's see what else we can talk about. There's a couple of new things that I wanted to mention today. And first of all, I wanted to say that we've actually hit a milestone on the numbers, which I think is really cool. We'll talk about that in a second here. Let me just do something 1 second, very quickly, guys. All right. So we've reached 8 million views. Not 8 million subscribers, unfortunately. That would have been nice, but 8 million views is nothing to scoff at. I'm pretty proud of that. And we're over at 30,000 subscribers or viewers, so that's nice. And I really hope that we can continue that, and we can keep the momentum going and increase that as well. And these Sunday live shows are part of all of that. I think the community aspect of the channel is quite important, and I hope you guys do appreciate what we're doing here on Sundays. I try to accommodate. Sometimes I'm out of commission for whatever reason, or I got other things that I need to do that's, you know, that pop up urgently, but usually I'm pretty consistent, and we're usually here Sundays, either in the morning or sometimes we flip it to the evening, just to give other people a chance to learn about the channel. So I'm happy about that, and I couldn't have done it without you guys, so I really appreciate you guys tuning in consistently. And of course, hey Billy, how are you, buddy? Billy's here. Wayne says he's I had my hands on my first Strandberg, lightly used. It was like $3,500. It sure felt small but nice. $3,500. I didn't realize they're that expensive, man. That's pretty expensive. That's a big one. Yeah. Gear Junkie 35, good morning to you. Nice to see you here. Shane says I saw a Bassi for the first time. They are very thin. And a Bassi, they're thin. How thin are they? Are they thinner than the Sabres? You know, the Ibanez Sabres. And we have a couple of questions here as well. We have so much to talk about, guys. I don't know how long we're going to go today, but I think we're going to be a little bit longer than usual. We'll see. Davis has a question, so we'll jump into that question right off the bat. He says, is there a big difference between the mid-price modelers and the high-end ones? I'm on my third 400 to 500, I guess, dollar modeler. I would say that there is a difference between the mid-sized and the high-end modelers, specifically functions and features, but also quality of sounds. Sometimes you can get some really good sounds out of low-priced modelers. I'm not knocking the lower-priced ones. Sometimes you'd be surprised. $300 around that price range. Sometimes you could you can really land on a nice one that'll do everything you need to do, you know, for home use or whatever. But the difference between a low-end modeler and a high-end modeler is usually how deep you can go into the editing, all of the functions that are available to you to be able to do different types of routing, different types of scenarios that you don't necessarily get on the lower end stuff. And I can show you very briefly what I mean by that. If you want, I'll just switch over to, I'm actually playing this guitar today. I'm actually going wireless into the Fractal. And I have a patch here. It's basically based on a Vibrolux. I have a little bit of, sorry, I turned down my tone there. So we have a generally a clean sound. Just lower that a little bit. So if you go to a more expensive modeler like a Fractal, for example, here I'll give you a really quick, just a behind the curtain view of what I'm talking about. All right, so this, you see this here, this is basically the Vibrolux patch I'm playing through right now. You can see up here at the very top under presets, Vibrolux. So I have a bunch of scenes set up here. So and under this patch, I have 8 different scenes. So a scene is basically the same series of effects, but you know, set up in a different fashion. So here, for example, if I'm looking at what I'm playing through now, you have the in, you have a bunch of stuff here that's turned off. You have a drive pedal, which is basically a clone, I guess, a clone boost. The amp, the cab, and the send, but then you have like a reverb, you have a looper. You can do a bunch of different things with this unit, and you have so much flexibility. So basically, you have an endless supply of different types of sound. So if I switch it to a rotary drive, for example, so we turned on the rotary effect. So if you listen to it now, you hear the rotary, right? So when you go into these different effects, you see all of the parameters that you have at your fingertips here. There's a lot of them. You can do so much with even just the amp. So for example, if I go into the amp block here, you can see that you have the standard gain, bass, and treble settings, right? But then what it does is it offers you even more. It offers you an ideal setting, which if you click on that, gives you all of the functionality that is not even built into the actual amp model that it's modeling. So now you have bass, you have mid treble, high treble, presence, depth, master volume. Of course, you have level here. You have input trim, input boost, cut, flat. All of these things are like above and beyond. And then you get more. You can set up the preamp section, the power amp section, the tubes, what type of tubes, the grid bias, you know, you can mismatch your tubes, the power supply, your speaker, the speaker curve, input, output, dynamics, all of this stuff. And that's just one element in the chain. So you're not gonna get that usually on a $300 unit, you know. So this is why it's good and bad at the same time, because you have all that flexibility and more at your fingertips. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But basically, you can do so much. And also one other thing, I'll just show you very quickly here. I should actually do more tutorials on the fractal because it's a really crazy unit. So that was the scene setting, right? Now, if I want to go into presets, so these are my presets. These are all of the presets that I have here. And each one of these presets has, you know, it could have a maximum of 8 scenes per preset. So could you imagine how many sounds are at your disposal? You know, if you can't cover what you need with something like a fractal, I hate to say that you're probably not going to get what you need anywhere, right? So there's a lot. So the $300 units are not going to give you that. No way. And the quality of the sound and the outputs and the way you can go to front of house, the way you can use it to go into your, you can actually use it as a DAW and you can actually put in IRs. It's crazy. Yeah, Marcel, you kind of need to be a sound engineer, but I think, you know, if you've become accustomed to using multi-effects unit, they're similar. They're all a little bit different. There's definitely things that you can do that I don't even know how I would go about doing it. And it's impressive to see how other people use the tool because they do things that I didn't even think about doing. And it's crazy what you can do. So it's unlimited, really. But it could be overkill for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't want that. They just want to go straight into an amp, and I totally get that, you know, because you do jump down the rabbit hole in terms of tweaking, you know, and if you're not a tweaker, this will eat up a lot of time. But once you get the sounds that you need, there's really nothing you can't do with it. Marcel wants to know how much that modeler costs. It's I believe it's over $3,000. But yes, it's expensive, but you get pretty much unlimited sounds, and they have a great resource of patches that you can go download patches, and there's really good quality ones there already. So I'm already running out of places to put patches, and I'm gonna have to start deleting some as we go. But you get the idea. Anyways, I'm just gonna switch to lead solo here and just a little too loud maybe. Sorry guys. Just a little. Just bring it down so I don't. All right. So that's kind of a little taste of what you can do with that, and I hope that answers your question. Let me see if I had, did I jump any other questions here? Did I get the YouTube plaque yet? No, I don't think you get a YouTube plaque before you hit like 100,000 subscribers. So I have a long way to go before I get a plaque. But it's not about the plaque profile production, it's really about the community, and I do feel really honored to have you guys here on a regular basis because I look forward to it. I look forward to be able to have these chats with you on a regular basis, you know. Nothing beats talking about gear. I wish we could all go to a bar someplace and, you know, all get together in person, have a couple of drinks, couple of beers, talk about gear. It would be a blast. But this is the next best thing. So Shane says that they are comparable to the Ibanez Sabres. I always felt that to be a little bit too thin. Like I've tried the Sabres, the Ibanez Sabres, and they felt a little uncomfortable to me because I need a little bit more, you know, a little bit more to hang on to. I always felt that the Sabres were just a little too thin. So I don't know if I'd gravitate towards something that thin. I guess it's all a question of what you get used to. Marcel says, I own a Fender Mustang GTX 100 and I haven't explored the depth of its settings. Still love the sounds. Yeah, you could get so much. And, you know, like the thing is with any unit, whether it's a multi-effects unit, just a pedal, or even just an amp, I don't think we really spend enough time with the gear to really exhaust all of the possibilities. Even with an amplifier, I have to say. I think we generally dive in, we dial the sound that we like, and we kind of stop there. But there's so much more that you can do with a little exploration. You can go well beyond the basics, right? but it's just a question of time, I guess, and energy, and you know what you're after in terms of tone. Eddie says, Tony, when choosing pickups, should playing through an amp or a modeler be a consideration? Yeah, I think it should. Here's my take on that. I find that unless you have a really good modeler and a really good setup to be able to capture sounds and play the sounds through your modeler properly, generally modelers kind of homogenize the sounds. And you guys could agree with me or not. I'm open for discussion on this point. Maybe you guys have a different point of view. But I find that multi-effects units generally, especially if they're lower end units, they kind of make everything sound the same, regardless of the guitar that you're playing through with it, regardless of the pickups that you're using. They tend to homogenize the sound. So you'll notice this on YouTube video reviews. This is why often if I'm reviewing something like pickups, you know, or something that's really sound, like you really need to hear the actual sound, I tend to go through an amplifier, because I feel like going through an amplifier will give you the real nuances that are lost in a multi-effects unit. So I know we were talking about pickups last week. As a matter of fact, I wanted to touch upon that. We had Mr. Chris Remiard from Peg City last week. I hope you guys had an opportunity to tune into that show. We did have some slight glitches. There was some lag, and that always happens when you're dealing with two connections at the same time plus streaming. Anyways, the stream did lag a little bit, but if you catch the rerun on that, which is posted on my live videos, we answered quite a bit of questions, and Chris really taught me a lot of stuff about pickups that I didn't really know. He did an excellent job of answering many of your pickup related questions. I learned a lot, and I hope you guys did too. And eventually we would love to have Chris back and, you know, just go beyond the basics that we talked about last week. But if you watch that episode, there's a lot of information regarding how pickups work and all of that. But beyond the pickup, once you get into a multi-effects, I find that it really does kind of remove some of the highs, remove some of the lows, and does this thing somewhere in the middle. Whereas if you're playing your pickups and you're demoing pickups through an amplifier, you will definitely get it to sound different. So this is one of the things that we spoke about, and I mentioned also, where I think we had the discussion last week. Somebody had brought up the fact that somebody says all pickups sound the same, and Chris said they do not, and he'd be willing to send different pickups to whoever wants to test them, and you'll hear the difference. That is true unless you play it through a multi-effects unit. Like if you play it through an amplifier and you mic up that amplifier, I totally believe 110% with all my heart you will be able to hear the difference in pickups. When you start going through, the more effects and processing you go through, kind of the more you lose off of the original sound, if that makes sense. All right, so that's my take on it. And so Shane, I got your message, by the way. I saw that. And so that's exactly what I was referring to. So Chris, we brought up the topic where Glenn Fricker was saying that he figures they're all the same. Pickups are all the same. I don't think that's true. But if Chris is willing to send Glenn some pickups, I'm sure he'll eventually eat his words. I have no doubt about that. I mean, the guy's a sound engineer, right? He's supposed to be a sound engineer from what I gather. So, you know, if you're a sound engineer and you're telling me you can't get different sounds out of different pickups, that's odd, in my opinion. Something's wrong. Got to drink something, guys. All right. All right. Did I miss any questions? I'm just going to go back a little bit and just see. Sometimes I get into a tangent and I miss a couple of questions. So guys, once again, if you've picked up any kind of new gear this week, let me know. Let's talk about it. Also, the fact that Black Friday is here, right? Black Friday week, Black Friday day, Black Friday month, depending on how you look at it. Most of the time, Black Friday is till Christmas, sometimes even later. So basically, you want to see what's out there and hopefully grab some deals. So if you guys do have any deals that you saw that are interesting, let us all know. There's 46 people here, guys. I would appreciate a thumbs up. By the way, if you want to support the channel, subscriptions #1, thumbs up #2, super chats if you want to get one of these Addicted to Gear stickers. Anybody that does a super chat will get one of these. I'll send it out to you if you give me your email address. Be more than happy to send you a little thank you. And so with the Black Friday deals, if you've already snagged something that's worthwhile, let us know. I have my eyes on a couple of things. We'll talk about those. I like to bring them up to you. If I see something that's interesting, I usually talk about it on the show. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And there's going to be more deals to come for sure till Christmas. So if you have a budget for it, some of you may have already capped out this year. At the end of the year, you know, Christmas, you know, gifts for the family and the kids and all that kind of stuff, and the bills, they kind of end up piling up at the end of the year. So it's not always easy to take advantage of these deals, but hopefully you've put aside a little fund for gear and you can take advantage of that, I hope. So Dan has a good point, and I'll address Dan's comment here because, yeah, that's a good point as well. So Glenn is talking about high gain production. His stuff, as you said, is so highly processed, the original characteristics of any pickup is lost. Okay, so yeah, I get that. So yes, the high gain stuff needs to be processed quite heavily. So maybe in his genre of music or style of engineering, heavy guitars, I get it. I get what you're saying. But you know, if you're taking an analytical approach, and he's saying you can't hear the difference, like generally, and I'm not talking about just the heavy chugga type metal sounds, but going from perhaps low volume clean all the way to heavy, if you can't hear the difference there's something wrong. Just saying, my opinion. I stick by that. I stick by that. Okay, so Steve has confirmed that he's also said mostly doesn't matter if you're playing high gain stuff. Okay, so if that's the caveat, where it's, okay, we're only talking about high gain stuff, I kind of agree with him if it's high gain, because like I said, it's so processed. But if you're going into a clean amplifier and you're starting with a clean bass and then layering on perhaps more levels of gain till you get to that high gain stage, you will hear the difference. So yeah, I understand his point of view if we're talking about, you know, those kind of parameters, let's say. Yeah, the high gain. I get it, DMAC. I get it. Okay, I didn't hear the original conversation that was said on his show. I didn't see that. So I was just I'm basically putting my my newbie hat here, and I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of sound in terms of all the different levels and points of dynamics when you're demoing a pickup. You know what I mean? Like when I demo a pickup, you know, if I'm buying a pickup and I'm only playing metal, then I'm not going to be that picky about the pickup that's in my guitar, because like is being said here, it will typically be so saturated with gain that you're not going to really, all you're looking for is punch and maybe bottom end, that kind of thing, right? Beefiness. But in terms of like nuances, dynamics, bloom, attack, maybe attack would be something that you'd look at if it's a high gain. But a lot of the other things, you might not necessarily care about. So I get it, you know. But again, I guess it all comes down to, you know, what you're aiming for. Eddie says super distortions and the JB were meant for high gain tube amps. Just thinking a lower output pickup would be better playing through a modeler. I mean, it could be. I like lower output pickups in general. I find that you get a little bit more of the flavor of the guitar, like the influence of what the guitar is doing on the sound. It's not just the pickup. And I know there's a lot of debate about that, where the sound, people say the sound strictly comes from the pickup and it doesn't matter what kind of guitar it's in or body or whatever. But I feel like when it's a lower gain, a lower output pickup, you do have a little bit more nuance. And I think Chris from Peg City explained that, the technical reason behind that last week. I'm not a technical whiz when it comes to pickups. I leave that to the pros, but he kind of explained why. So you can go back and watch that video and see his explanation on that. By the way, if you guys do like pickup talk and you know you want to get it down to the nitty-gritty, we're going to invite someone else next week, but it's going to probably be an evening show. But it won't be at 10:30. It'll probably be a little bit earlier because just logistics, really. We wanted to invite another pickup expert to the show. We'll keep it as a surprise. You'll see who it is later this week. But he's located on the other side of the world. So to accommodate that, we would have to have an evening show. But if you're interested in pickup talk and you want to understand the technical side of things, you might want to tune in for that one as well. Hey, Randy. Tricks are good. How about you? Paul says he has high gain pedals that make a vintage low gain Strat pickup sound 8 miles high, but I play dead clean and a lot of classic classic crunch, so a great medium gain pickup is killer. I agree. I like to have pickups that can do a nice full sounding clean, but like are kind of close to that edge of breakup, so you can get the bite that you need when you pick a little harder. Just more dynamic. Shane has a great question. He says, what guitar is on everyone's lap right now? My Schecter Super Shredder's on mine. Well, you saw what's on mine. You got this Strat here. Plugged it in. I'm actually going through, did I mention I'm going through a wireless system? I'm going through a wireless system today. I'm not actually plugged in directly, so I can actually move around. I'm evaluating this wireless system and I'll probably do a review for you guys. And I just wanted to see the dynamics of it, if I drop connection, if you guys can even tell that it's wireless. I don't get any lag. That's the other thing that you'll notice about a modeler that I forgot to mention. When you're dealing with a modeler that's a little bit more on the upper scale of things, it'll clean up with the volume on your guitar. So even though the sound is pretty like you can hear there's quite a bit of gain on tap, but if I bring the volume down to like 3 or something, or even less, there's a lot of delay and stuff, so. You can hear how the gain goes down a little bit. Anyway, Paul likes the idea of another pickup show. Perfect. Great. So tune in for that one. That should be next Sunday. Presley says Bartolini humbucker hardtail champagne sparkle Strat is on his lap. Very cool with the Bartolini humbuckers. Nice pickups. Eddie's playing an old made in Japan Wolfgang. I used to have one of those. They're great guitars, Eddie. I kind of regret selling mine a little bit, but I like those guitars. They feel really good. Gene's playing his new SG. And Presley says that a quality pickup with a quality high gain amp will absolutely allow you to hear the harmonics and balanced under the overtones. Bare knuckles versus Squier single coils. You know, I think you agree with me. I think we're talking the same language here. Randy says he's broke. Poor guy. Randy, I hear you, buddy. I hear you, man. And Thornblaze Lash. That's a new one. So welcome, Thornblaze. I don't think we've had the pleasure of talking before. Says he purchased the D'Angelico Bedford SE and the Strat Bridge sucks. Wonder if anyone has installed the Vegatrem on this particular guitar. I didn't install it on that particular guitar, but I did install it on one of my guitars, and I love it. The guitar is not here, unfortunately, or I would show it to you. It's away, but I installed it on my Kramer Beretta Special, believe it or not. A lot of people don't understand why I did that, because the Vegatrem costs more than the guitar, but it definitely elevated the entire feel of that guitar, and it was already upgraded with a JB pickup in the bridge. Well, it only has one pickup, and it's a great guitar with that trem system on it. So although I haven't tried it on that guitar, I can definitely vouch for the Vegatrem. I think it's a great system. Are there less expensive systems out there? Yeah, there probably are, but I don't know how they would compete with the Vegatrem. Right, so Shane says if you can have the evening show on Saturday, I could then watch, because that would be Sunday. I would love to accommodate Shane. The only thing is that it's a question of scheduling, and the person that I'm looking at having on the show, unfortunately, is not available. If I could shift it, I will. Definitely want to have as many people participate, and I agree Sunday evenings are difficult because most people got to get up and go to work, and so I totally get it. I'll see if I can switch it to Saturday. I'll try, and if we can accommodate that, I will. Okay, try and make everybody happy, and it's a good point that you bring up. All right, keep the comments coming in, guys. Keep the questions coming in, and for some reason this week, I stumbled on a bunch of stuff related to Van Halen. I don't know what's going on, but first I saw Sammy Hagar, Joe Satriani, Jason Bonham, and Michael Anthony on the Howard Stern show. I don't know if you guys saw those clips. They were circulating on YouTube, and they were basically playing Van Halen tunes. They sounded great. I think they sounded pretty good. Even with the technical virtuosity, I can't even back it up. Even with the technical virtuosity of Joe Satriani, there we go. My mouth caught up with my brain, which I highly respect, by the way. I think Joe Satriani is great. He's an amazing player. He definitely was a huge influence on a lot of guitarists, including me. I still feel, and you can challenge me on this, guys, I still feel that he wasn't able to capture that Eddie Van Halen mojo. Like, yes, he played the songs, he hit all the right notes, and he can definitely still play circles around the majority of the guitarists out there today. I'm not trying to put Joe down in any way, but I felt that he was simply still missing, in my opinion, that rawness that Eddie had. And you know, I don't know what it is. I can't put it into words, but if you watch the video, if you watch them playing, I think you'll understand what I'm saying. So it's funny because in another article that I came across, Joe said he flubbed the intro to Mean Streets because there's a section in the video where he's actually doing the Mean Street. He's showing how to do the intro to Mean Streets, which I think is a really challenging intro, an amazing intro, challenging. And I'd love to be able to play that. I would have to put some serious practice time behind doing that though. But he said he flubbed it, and although he can play it probably 20 times better than most people out there, I guess his expectations are relative. I think Joe's got pretty high standards. And I listened to that clip, and yeah, I can see it wasn't necessarily 100%, but still sounded fine. Most people wouldn't notice. But for me, that intro, and I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, the intro to Mean Streets I'm referring to, just solidified for me how the Van Halen, the Eddie Van Halen creative genius, he was able to integrate, you know, think about it, a series of thumb taps and mutes and, you know, little harmonic things there into an unforgettable intro. And that really catches your attention. Like when you hear that song and you hear that intro, you're paying attention, you know, it's got your attention there. So has anybody here tried to learn that intro? Can anybody here play that intro? I know I can't. So, but has anybody here tried? If you can, I would love to hear how long it took for you to actually master that. And you know what I was thinking? Learning that intro would make a really great 30-day challenge, don't you think? Maybe that's something I should start doing on my channel, and it would challenge me as well. Maybe I should make a video once a month. Say this is the 30-day challenge. We're going to be learning, we're going to be trying to see how well we can play the beginning of Mean Streets at the end of 30 days. And then perhaps you guys could, you know, post a video or send me something on Instagram or whatever, showing how you know, if you can play it and how far you've gotten. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I think that would be cool. I think it would, you know, it would up our game. It wouldn't be just talking about gear. It would be putting our mouth where the money is. We're putting the money where our mouth is, kind of thing, where we're going to be able to actually say, okay, guys, now we're going to get serious. Let's try and learn this. So that's something I'd like to do. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that would be a cool like element to add to the show? A 30-day challenge on a regular basis, a monthly 30-day challenge? Eddie says he was watching that just before this started. So you caught that, Eddie? And the Thornblaze saw it too. So it's going around, right? It's going around the internet. Hey, Charles. Nice to see you, buddy. Eddie says, I have absolutely no problem putting high-end mods on an inexpensive guitar. More is better. I agree with you, Eddie. I agree with you. We're talking the same language. And Thornblaze says he's going to order that Vega Trem. Awesome, dude. Just make sure it fits, though. Make sure it fits the cavity, because you don't want to have to start routing stuff. So maybe you can even ask the people at Vega Trem just to make sure it's a direct drop-in. For me, it was. For the Beretta, I didn't have to do a thing. It dropped right in, worked like a charm. But I can't guarantee that for all guitars. So maybe you want to ask those questions. Dan of New Jersey says, I'm about to pull the trigger on the Tone King Iron Man attenuator, 100 watt model. They are on sale at the moment. Don't really want to, but need one. Anything I should think about before the plunge? How much, Dan? How much is it? I just bought a cheap one, Dan. I don't know how much those Tone King Iron Man ones are, but I bought like a Bugera one, which is kind of based, I think it was designed by Soldano, from what I've heard. And it's like you can get them used under $100. I think brand new they're around $100, right? Works like a charm for me. You don't have to necessarily break the bank. Rico says, Addicted, have you played the PRS McCarty 594 SE? No, not yet. It's on my radar, and I've been looking when I go to my local stores to see if they have it. They don't carry a lot of PRS guitars, unfortunately. I think they're more their focus is more Gibson. They have way more Gibson guitars than PRS. They have just a handful of PRS guitars, and for whatever reason, I haven't seen it there yet. So if I actually go, I will definitely make sure to take a look and see if there's one there, because I am curious to see how it feels and how it plays. Marcel says, I'm out on the 30-day challenge. Not enough experience unless it's trying to play arpeggios. Marcel, it's never too late to start, dude. And, you know, even if it's not 100%, it's another technique under your belt. Lately, I have to say, guys, I'm very disappointed. I need to slap myself. I haven't been practicing, and just because there's other things happening right now here. So it's been a challenge for me to practice, and I feel it. I feel the rustiness, and I think a 30-day challenge would be in order. I think it would force us to focus a little bit more. You know? I think it would be cool. So maybe we can start getting suggestions as to what the 30-day challenge. It doesn't have to be the beginning of Mean Streets. It could be something else. Could be a lick, could be a little solo, it could be part of a song that you guys find interesting. You know, it doesn't have to be complicated. We can kind of have like different tiers, you know, for beginner, intermediate, more advanced. Presley says, that's an interesting idea. He says, send out a chord progression and let us lay down solos and submit them on video for review. That's cool. I like that idea too. That could work. Eddie's working on the solo to Scorpions, No One Like You. That's a cool solo. Every once in a while, I'm sure you guys do this as well. Every once in a while, I'm driving in my car. Mostly in the morning. Driving in my car, listening to the radio or listening to a playlist on my phone. And a song comes up, if I have it on random, shuffle or whatever, and I'm like, damn, that's a great solo. Or that sounds great. I don't know if the energy is higher in the morning or the endorphins are firing or what, but I always feel like in the morning I have more energy to tackle new things. And in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I gotta remember to maybe like write down, I gotta learn that song. I gotta learn that lick. It's such a great lick. And then for whatever reason, the day goes on and I'm exhausted by the time I get home. And there goes that idea. And then sometimes I even have trouble remembering what that song was that I wanted to learn. So you definitely have to work at it. Paul says the reason Eddie Van Halen was so good is because he figured the only guy to do a dead clone / cover of was Eddie Van Halen. Same with Hendrix. The best clone cover of Hendrix was Hendrix. It's the only secret the greats know. It's hard to copy Eddie, man. It's hard. He's got such swing and his fingers are just so fast. And it seems like it's just naturally there, you know? It's just hard. But a lot of people are doing a great job. I have to admit, there's some great players on YouTube. I've seen a lot of people playing Eruption. Eruption seems to be the go-to when we're talking Eddie Van Halen, right? The things that people generally copy the most. And there's some people that played like note for note, really, really great. Heartbreaker solo? I like that. And Jimmy Page is also a little bit challenging to mimic because he's got a sloppiness about him. So if you listen to the Heartbreaker solo, towards the end of it, when he sort of goes like crazy and starts like really doing a lot of pull-offs, hammer-ons, like little, he gets pretty sloppy. So it's hard to mimic sloppiness like him. That's kind of his style, right? Presley says, gotta get ready for School of Rock today. Teaching vocals, drums, guitar, and a little junior band. Cool, dude. Awesome. Good on you, man. Spread the gospel. Eddie says, if you really want to challenge yourself, try learning any Randy Rhoads solo. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of great solos out there, a lot of great solos, and some of them don't seem challenging, but when you start playing them, you're like, oh man, I'm in over my head. Steely Dan, there's a couple of great solos on their albums that are just like a real challenge, I gotta say. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Jimmy Page was mostly stream of consciousness improvisation. He would always play things differently. So if you would hear him playing live, it would never be note for note. It would be, it could be longer, shorter, faster, more intense, more mellow, but he would just do his own thing night for night. It was, in the realm of his recorded stuff, but never note for note. And that's the cool thing, when you're going and see these people play, is like, you're going to get something that you're not going to get on an album. I actually went to see a really great show. At one point, I went to see the Australian Pink Floyd. They were in town. I saw them twice, actually. And amazing musicians. They played note for note. But at the same time, that was kind of a little boring, because it was basically like listening to the album. Like, they have it down pat, that you can actually, like, they don't deviate at all. And that's the great thing about them, is that you're really living that Pink Floyd experience. But it's nice to be able to hear a little bit of variation from time to time, just to say like, oh, that's an interesting take. I like that rendition, So anyways, we'll talk about doing the 30-day challenge. I think that would be cool. And, it will put me on the spot too, guys. Because if we're doing a 30-day challenge, it means like in 30 days, I got to put my money where my mouth is. And I got to like go in front of everybody and post a video of me playing that clip, that solo or whatever it is. And hopefully nail it. Sometimes maybe it's beyond my abilities. And that's okay too. But, it forces me to get outside my comfort zone. All right. So let's just visit the poll very quickly, guys. All right. We're not closing the show yet. We still have a lot to talk about, and I've already been almost talking an hour. But I wanted just to cover the poll question real quick, so that you guys know what it is, and hopefully you answered it. And then we'll get to the actual numbers later on. Okay, so the poll question for today was: when playing guitar with others, what role do you find yourself naturally gravitating towards? Is it A, lead guitar, because it's cooler? Is it B, rhythm guitar, because who needs the headaches? You can do a lot with rhythm, with just playing rhythm guitar. And finally, I can comfortably switch between both, and the girls love it. So if you're doing both, that's great. Let me know where you fit in. And if you haven't taken the poll, it's on the community section of the Addicted to Gear page. And we'll get to the answers in just a minute, okay? A little later. Marcel likes my guitar strap. Thanks, Marcel. What brand is this? I don't even know. Anyways, it doesn't actually have a name on it. It's leather. It's not pleather. It's not Corinthian leather. It's actually real leather, which is comfortable. So we talked about Van Halen. Last week, guys, I posted a video of the Donner multi-effects unit, and we were talking about multi-effects unit earlier on the show. If you haven't already seen that, take a look at it. This is what I'm like. This is what I mean in terms of like a cheap, shouldn't say cheap, inexpensive unit. And if you hear the playing on that unit, you'll hear like it doesn't have as much dynamics. It's a budget friendly unit. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's not a bad unit, but it's definitely limited in terms of scope of what you can do on a professional level. But for home use, it's cool. So there's options out there, guys. It doesn't mean you have to break the bank every time. It all depends on what you're looking for. I also posted part 2 of the Princeton reverb build. My hair is like standing up here. What's going on? Stupid. These headphones are messing up my look here. I posted part 2 of the Princeton reverb build, and I'm all the way up to, I think, part 4 or 5 behind the scenes, guys. So you're looking at part 2, but I already have part 3, 4, and 5 pretty much in the can, ready to post. I'm probably going to post one per week just because it's a lot. And I understand that not all of you are interested in learning where all the components go in a build like that. But for some of you that are interested in building your own guitars, or perhaps interested in learning what goes into it and how to go about it, I want to just continue the process, because now I started and I don't want to leave people that are interested in it hanging. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is they're going to go, oh, where's the rest of it? You know? So I will follow through and post all of those. Just to tell you, I'm at the point now where the turret board is completely finished. It's all soldered up, and I'm putting it back in the chassis. And the next step now is to actually make all the connections within the chassis. So hopefully, I mean, I think I'm almost there, guys. I think I got maybe a quarter of the work left. But this is where it gets to the nitty gritty, and this is where things could get a little dangerous once you start powering things up. But I just want to wire things up. I did catch a couple of my mistakes looking back, and it's easy to make mistakes, guys, I got to say. That's the whole point of these videos. But I pointed those out in the videos as well, and I'm really excited, and I can't wait to actually plug that thing in. I always wanted a Princeton. I like Princeton reverbs. I think they're great amps. And I hope, fingers crossed, that when I pull the switch, turn it on, it's actually going to work. It's not going to blow up. I'm not going to smell any kind of like burnt plastic or anything like that. It's almost, I got to say, it's almost like I think I'm going to feel like Dr. Frankenstein. You know, when he hits the switch and the lightning hits the lightning rods and powers up the monster, and Frankenstein comes to life. And he screams, he's alive, he's alive. That's how I'm going to feel, hopefully, if it works. I'll let you know. But I'll try and capture all of those details for you on camera, for those of you that are interested, okay? Mike is here, and he says, Tony, I collected the Fender Road Worn series, the 0910 models. I have 3 of them and can say that they are custom shop competitors. People don't realize these are sleepers once the pickups are swapped. Mike, shh, don't tell anyone. I know, dude. I have a Road Worn, and it's great. One of my Telecasters is a Road Worn. One of my Stratocasters is a Road Worn. And to be honest with you, I agree with you 100%. If you want a custom shop sound at low prices, you get yourself a Road Worn, put in some custom shop speakers, pickups, if you can get your hands on them, or whatever flavor you like, and you're in business. And people don't realize, and it's not for everyone. Like, I understand. I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy a custom shop guitar. Just knowing what I know about the, building your own guitars, the Road Worn series, what you can get for your money. I mean, if you're capable of working on your guitars, you can definitely get into the ballpark of custom shop quality without not having to pay $5,000-$6,000 or whatever they're asking for today. The prices always seem to keep going up. So cheers to you, Mike, for realizing that, dude. And yeah, if I find them, if I see them, I usually grab them. But they're getting harder because people, I think, are starting to catch on now, Mike. The cat's out of the bag with these guitars. Da, 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 da. Thornblaze wants to know if I've played any Michael Kelly mod guitars. I have. Um, I have played a friend's Michael Kelly guitar. They're interesting. They're really nice guitars. The one I had actually tried was kind of like a relic, and to be honest with you, I didn't like the relic job, but the guitar felt and played amazingly well. But the relic job just didn't work. It seemed like it was like overkill. Like generally relics, old guitars don't. They rarely look like they were pulled out of a fire. You know what I mean? This one was a little bit too much. So yeah, but it felt really good. The neck on it was amazing, and it just very very resonant and alive feeling, if that makes sense. Shane, I'll try not to be one of those dudes who electrocutes themselves on camera, man. I'll try. Trust me, I got anxiety about pulling the power on this thing. Anyways, I'll try to be careful. Perhaps I'll recruit a friend who's maybe a little bit more comfortable with the electronic side of things, just to make sure I don't zap myself. It's always good to have a backup plan, maybe. I'll let you know. Mississippi Blue says, "Hi Tony, I'm thinking of installing stainless steel frets. Do you have any experience?" Any experience if refrets or of refrets, I guess you meant. Stainless is cool. The stainless will definitely give you more life, more longevity, and definitely give you a little bit of a brighter sound. They're not as easy to work with because they're harder. So if you're gonna have to level them, polish them, do all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit more time consuming and challenging. But basically the process is the same as any fret once you have them in. But you will hear a little ping sound. That's something I noticed with the stainless steel frets I've mentioned before on this channel. Like when you're playing stainless, they sound a little brighter. There's like a little pinging sound when you're playing that you don't normally hear on regular frets. For those of you who have guitars with stainless steel frets, let me know if you hear it or if it's just me being anal about it. But I do notice that. Mike says, also, our buddy at the Pickup Wizard in Belleville, Ontario, has now officially retired and closed up shop. It's the end of an era for Peter, but good luck to him in retirement. It's always sad when somebody retires. Recently, we had somebody that has been in business here, was a staple of our community, and he was around forever and ever, and he decided to retire, and it definitely leaves a hole. And it leaves a hole for somebody to step in, but sometimes that hole doesn't get filled, unfortunately. Dan says, Variacs make it safer. I don't know the ins and outs, Dan, so I'll have to do it the hard way, maybe. I don't really know. We'll see. So a week or two, we talked about Eric Clapton's SG that was going up for auction. Do you guys remember that? Well, apparently it's been sold. So the 1964 SG, known as the, what do they call it? The Fool, the one that's painted with all the psychedelic colors. Have you guys seen that one? It actually has been sold. And it's sold for 1.27 million. Not too shabby. I thought it would sell for more. But I mean, 1.2 million for a guitar, that's nothing to scoff at. And as far as I know, well, first of all, it's definitely a far cry from the 6 million that was paid for Kurt Cobain's Martin acoustic guitar, 1955 Martin D. I think it was an 18E, if I'm not mistaken. It was about 6 million or a little bit over $6 million for that guitar, which is crazy if you think about it. But it was sold, and it was sold to the Ursay collection. I don't know if you know about this a little bit more. James or Jim. He's a businessman, and he also owns a football team, CEO of the Indianapolis Colts. He basically bought it, and he has what he calls a collection, and he owns a couple of other guitars as well. So this guy's not doing too badly for himself. He's got a nice collection going. I wish I was part of his family. And he's got, I know he's got Elvis Presley's guitar, he's got George Harrison's guitar, John Lennon's guitar, Paul McCartney's, Jerry Garcia's. Now he has Eric Clapton's SG, he has Prince's Les Paul, Bob Dylan's guitar. I think I mentioned that as well. So he's got a nice collection of guitars. And I think he also has he has the Fender Mustang that was owned by Kurt Cobain as well. And I think he paid $4.6 million for that one. So he's got a nice collection going, and he's basically going to be taking it on tour. I think he's actually doing a series of shows where he's actually going to be playing these guitars. So I guess he's a guitar lover. Maybe he's addicted to gear just like us, except with a deeper wallet, deeper pocket. You know, if these multi-millionaires are investing in these guitars, how can I argue with that? It just goes to show that, you know, certain collectible guitars are a viable investment these days. You know, with the economy the way it is, with the stock market going up and down and bank rates fluctuating and stuff like that, perhaps guitars are the way to go, guys. Maybe guitars are what we should be investing in. You know what I mean? I think this guy should know what he's doing. He's been doing pretty well so far. But anyway, that's, you know, it's a done deal. It's been sold, and he's got it. So if ever you're looking to buy one, you know who to contact. That would be him. So Russell says, regarding stainless steel frets, I'm considering replacing the neck on my main Strat with a Warmoth neck. It seems to be more cost effective than doing an actual refret. Well, if you're going to bring it to someone to get a refret done, yeah, it's going to cost you probably close to the price of a new neck. If you're not like in love with the neck profile, perhaps you're looking at something a little bit better. The Warmoth necks are nice. They have some really nice ones, and you can definitely get, I think, the stainless steel frets as an option. So they can ship it to you with the stainless steel frets already on there. Eddie says, I honestly believe that stainless steel frets are not necessarily, unless you are a gigging musician, regular frets will last a long time. It is true. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to change frets to stainless. If a guitar comes with stainless, great. They last longer. But there are different quality frets out there. A lot of these Chinese guitars that you buy, the quality of the frets are not great, and they get divots in them very quickly. So there's definitely different types or different quality metals that are being used for frets. When you go stainless, you know you're going to be good for a while. So, but again, like you said, Eddie, if you're not a gigging musician and you're playing every single night, regular frets will last a long time, especially if you have more than one guitar. You know, if I look at my guitars back there, you know, if each one of these guitars gets 5% playing time per month, they'll last forever. If you only have one guitar and you're playing every single night, you might want to invest in stainless. Marcel says he doesn't have a nice collection. He has a lot of money to waste. Yeah, he does obviously have money to waste. But I guess it's an investment for him because eventually he'll probably be able to sell that guitar for more down the road if he wants. Dan says Clapton is smart. His fan base is now on Social Security. May as well cash in. Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm sure there's no lack of guitars at the Clapton household. I'm sure he's got one or two laying around. All right. Eddie says, I was looking at a Plek from Sweetwater, $300. Holy crap. Well, Eddie, you know, there's somebody here that offers Plekking. I don't know if you knew this, you know this or not, but you can definitely contact our buddy right here. He mentioned it a couple of times. I think he's still doing it. I hope he's still doing it. Presley from California Customs, he offers Plekking. So if you ship him, contact him, ship him your neck. I'm sure he'll be able to do it for you, man. Maybe he could give you a better deal. That's the great thing about the community. We help each other, you know? Okay, so yeah, somebody mentioned earlier the Nauticlon pedal from JHS. Have you guys seen this? It's pretty cool, I gotta say. A great idea. Whoever the marketing person is at JHS, they should get a raise, because the whole rollout of this new pedal is pretty cool, I have to say. Have you guys seen this? Do you guys know what I'm talking about here? Yes, no, maybe. Anyways, let me explain it to you if you don't know what I'm talking about. So the guys over at JHS decided to offer a clone, which is a kit. And the cool thing about it is that it is actually designed, the packaging and sort of the marketing around it is designed to look like an IKEA product. Even, you know, the name Nauticlon with the two dots, it's kind of like the names that you would see on IKEA products, plain box and whatnot. They even throw in a little tool so that you can put it together. Really well thought out, I gotta say. And I think these things are selling like hotcakes. Basically, the kit is partially put together, kind of like IKEA. It's not a full kit. It's not like you have to actually put all the components on the board. It's basically partially put together. So the board is populated. You just have to like put it together, do some minor things to get it done. And you have a clone, and it's genius. Now these pedals are gonna sell like hotcakes. I can already tell. Excuse me. They're not that expensive if you're in the States. If you're in Canada, shipping it's a little bit more. But basically, from what I understand, they already sold. Get this. This just came out, by the way, and you can still pre-order them. You can. I think they already sold over 3,000 pedals. So if you do the math, 3,000 pedals, I think they're $99 each in the US. More in Canada, like I mentioned. You're looking at about $300,000 worth of sales on this little pedal, this one pedal alone. And you can still pre-order them. So I'm pretty sure you won't, if you pre-order, you're not going to get one anytime soon. You're probably going to get it in 2014 at some point. But you can definitely pre-order. I listened to sound samples and it sounds great. I mean, they compare it to an actual clone, and I think it sounds great. You know, so if you're into putting it together yourself, why not grab it? You know, I like the idea. Not everybody is. Not everybody needs a clon. You know, it's definitely limited in terms of the controls, right? You have gain, you have volume, and you have one control. This one is a little bit better because they also have the Shamrock mod is what they call it. And basically it offers more volume, more mids, more gain stages. So you have a little bit more of a versatile pedal compared to the original clon, if that makes sense. And the really cool thing, the icing on the cake, they even send it to you with a little tube of goop. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but the original clones, they were gooped. They were covered, the components were covered in a sticky goop so that you couldn't easily see what the components were, so they couldn't be copied. And, you know, tongue in cheek, they're doing the same thing. So hats off to the guys over at JHS. I think it's a fantastic idea. They will definitely sell a bunch. It would make a great stocking stuffer for the do-it-yourselfer. I'd love one of those. Maybe I'll actually hint to my wife and say, maybe, you know, that could be a good Christmas gift. You won't get it for Christmas, though. The only thing, though, is that it does say all sales are final. And I understand why, because you're basically putting it together yourself. You can mess things up. So if it doesn't work, well, you're stuck with it. And it does require a 9-volt DC negative center power plug that consumes 300 milliamps. So you have to have that, because I think the pedal internally upscales it to 18 volts, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's that. In Canada, with shipping, you're looking at about $165, which is not cheap for a do-it-yourselfer. So Macaroon says, sounds dumb. Clones already built cost less. Yeah, you can definitely get something from Wampler that is very close and around the same price, you know, for at least from Canada here. Jeff says it's probably closer to the toy inside the Kinder Egg than a piece of IKEA furniture. I don't know. Eddie says my son got a clon in a Happy Meal once. And Macaroon says the NuX Horseman is $50 already built. And Eddie says I need to smell that solder. Gene already ordered one. Yeah, it's a good point, Dan. Dan had brought up a good point. Dan says, have to wonder if this product and Series 3 actually devalues his products in the long run when people see how little it actually takes to make the pedal. I think it's really a question of R&D, Dan, though. You know what I mean? It's not actually, like, once the circuit is designed, you know, sending it out to China or wherever they're getting the boards made to actually get them done, probably, you know, it's not that expensive, but it's the time involved to actually do the R&D around any new product. And Keith says there's no soldering involved, so that's even easier. If it's just, you know, plug and play type of thing, it'll attract even more people. So anyways, I wanted to bring that up. I thought it was cool. You're definitely going to see more videos on that and hear more stuff. Maybe eventually I can get my hands on one of those as well, and see. I actually, do I have it here, guys? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Give me a sec. Do I have it here? No, I think I have it somewhere else. Sorry, can't get it to you now. But I actually ordered not long ago the Ghost Drive from StuMac, which is basically the same idea. It's a clone, but it's a full build. You have to actually put in all of the components for it to work. I figured if I get encouraged and my Princeton reverb comes out well and works, that'll be another project. A hand-built clone. Why not? It'll keep me busy. I like to do the soldering too, Eddie. That's the thing. Makes me feel good that I did it, you know? Anyway, beyond that, stocking stuffers, and my hair looks like alfalfa. What's going on here? Look at this thing. Let me just adjust. Looks are everything, right? There's better. Okay. What was I going to say? Stocking stuffers. If you guys are looking for stocking stuffers, obviously Black Friday, good time to look into doing a bit of shopping ahead of time. A couple of things that I saw that I wanted to point out to you guys. If you're looking, and who doesn't need a tuner, Peterson has stepped up the spec on their strobe. What do they call them? The strobe clip, strobel clip, I think it is. Anyways, they have a new version of the clip. I like the Peterson tuners. I think they're great. They're very accurate. If you're looking for a reliable tuner, the new features on this one include a rechargeable battery, same as the old, but it has fast charging. So that's good because, you know, if you're going for a gig, you're going for a rehearsal, you grab your tuner, you realize, oh man, it's not even tuned. I can't bring it. So they have a fast tuner, a fast function, a fast charging function, which I think is great. They have the same accuracy. That's what I love about these tuners. They're like I think a tenth of a cent in terms of accuracy. That's pretty good. That's like, you know, always impressive. So that's something you can count on. And they have what they call sweetened tuning modes, which is, I'm not really sure what that is, but apparently there's like 65 new sweetened tuning modes that you can enjoy. And they could, they're custom tuning presets. So if you're playing around with different tunings, very cool. So that would make a great stocking stuffer. I think they're high up there in terms of quality. I download the Peterson app on my phone and I use it all the time. I love the strobe tune function. I think it's great, especially if you're trying to dial in and intonate your guitar. Beautiful. Shane, go get your sleep, man. 2 a.m. Dude, you're going to be wasted tomorrow. Go get your beauty sleep. Thanks for tuning in, dude. Sweet dreams. So it's not on the market yet, apparently, but it's going to be coming out soon. So keep your eyes open for that. It's probably going to be around the $100 mark, 80, I don't know, 80 to $100, something around there. I'd probably grab another one. You can never have too many tuners. Also, Taylor has also put out a new tuner, and they're doing the opposite. Like, instead of building it out with cool tuning functions, they're actually making it a Swiss Army knife because it looks a little bit more like an Apple Watch. This one's a little bit more square looking. Looks like an Apple Watch, basically, where the Peterson is more long. And it includes a metronome. It has a countdown clock and it has a flashlight. Kind of weird that you would need a flashlight. Also a countdown clock. Seems a little odd. The tuner itself is chromatic. And you can tune a guitar, you can tune a bass, you can tune a violin, you can tune a ukulele. Any kind of stringed instrument will be able to tune. And it retails for about $60 to $80. So I get the tuning functionality. I don't know if I'm going to need a light on it, but I guess if you're stumbling around in the dark somewhere, that might come in handy. The countdown clock, I guess if you're like Van Morrison and you can't wait to get off stage, you can have a countdown while you're playing and know when to end the show. I don't know, but it's there. I would tend to go, if I had a choice, I'd probably go for the Peterson. That's just me. Mississippi Blue says, I built the StewMac Ghost Drive and their Anglo-Man copy. Great project, not that difficult with the StewMac instructions. So how do you like the sound of the Ghost Drive? Do you use it much? Do you feel like it's worthwhile in terms of sounds? it's always disheartening when you spend so much time building something and then you finish it and it's like, it's okay. I'm hoping it'll be more than that. So Cletus is here. He says, yeah, don't sleep on StewMac stuff. They bought some Golden Age humbuckers simply because they were inexpensive and double cream. Turns out they sound fantastic. I've tried some of the StewMac stuff. A friend of mine actually asked me to install some pickups, and they were the Golden Age pickups from StewMac, and I thought they sounded really good, and they were not that expensive. So I get that the StewMac stuff sometimes gets a bad rap because stuff is expensive, but some stuff is pretty good, and I think those pickups, the Golden Age pickups, they have the Parson Street pickups, sound good. Marcel says, I just checked the pup output on the Virgo Classic 7.3, 3.7, and 7.3. And Gene wanted to know how much it weighs because he heard they were heavy. So maybe you can, Marcel, can you put that on a scale or something? Eddie says, I use a countdown timer all the time, set for 10 minutes, working on stuff. Take a break and come back. So this is for work. Not for playing, though. I guess a countdown timer would be helpful if you're practicing. Say you want to set your practices to like 30 minutes, an hour. You can set the countdown timer and then just concentrate on practicing. And then, when it beeps, you're done. Set it and forget it. So Mississippi Blue says, yeah, definitely worth it. Music is Win did a great comparison with the real clone. There you go. Okay, that's encouraging. Good, man. Good. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy because I'm going to be working on it soon. That's a winter project for me. All right, so there seems to be some great news on the horizon for Rush fans. I'm a big Rush fan, and for the longest time, it seemed like that, any reunion or any possibility of getting back was off the table. But apparently, from what I've heard, it seems like Geddy Lee is saying different, is saying otherwise. He recently said that it's been a taboo subject and playing songs again with a third person was the elephant in the room. Obviously, you lose a band member that's been with you for so many years. It's not always easy to get back into it. He says, but that kind of disappeared. That's what Geddy Lee's saying now. And this was in the Washington Post. He says, it was nice to know that if we decided to go out, Alex and I, whether we went out as part of a new thing or whether we just wanted to go out and play Rush as Rush, we can do that now. So the door is open for a Rush Lifeson project. And that's great news. And I hope we'll get to see them again because I love Rush stuff. And, seems great. Apparently, right now, the ball is in the court of Alex Lifeson because apparently he had to have some surgery, some issues he was having, I guess, with his stomach or I don't know what. And so basically he's recovering. But if that goes well, it might open up the doors for any future Rush gigs, tours, get-together, reunions, even if it's just temporary. Could be cool. I'd be up for that. I don't know if we have other Rush fans here, but I'd be happy to see them again. So Gene says his guitar is 7.5 pounds. That's pretty good. That's actually pretty light, under 8 pounds. Nice. So it doesn't seem to be that heavy. And any of you out there that are looking for SGs, good news on that front as well, because they've announced that they're going to be releasing some new colors. So if any of you have been holding off and you want to get an SG, perhaps now's the time. They're inspired models, I guess they call them. And they're offering them in 6 new finishes, 6 new colors. So if you're not somebody that necessarily liked the typical SG color, you're going to get some new choices now. And they're inspired by the 60s models. So that's always good. I love mine. So that the 60s models mean long tendon up to the 19th fret joint. You're going to get the 490R and the 490T pickups, Alnico 2 humbuckers. And you're going to get the new colors. So the new colors are including the classic white, which I think is the sexiest of the bunch outside of the standard colors. You get TV yellow, not a big fan for an SG. For other guitars, maybe. Silver mist, which is kind of cool. It's like a new take. Translucent teal and teal blue burst. And I think you're also going to get a cardinal red burst. So if you're looking for one, now's the time. I don't know how much. I think they're going to retail, at least the 61 models, I think are going to retail for about $1,999 USD. And we'll ship with a hard shell case. So could be cool. Could be a great time to grab one. If you're looking for new colors, now's the time. I think they'll sell well. At least the cream one, the off-white one, I think will be a big seller. So we do have Rush fans in the house. Davis says Rush. Gene's seen them 6 times. Rico says his son's going to see Getty next week on his book tour. Yeah, because he's got a book, I guess a book signing tour. And Eddie's a huge Rush fan too. He's going to get Getty's new book as well. All right, good to know. Good to know there's some Rush fans here. I like Rush too. I've been to see them, and always a very great experience. There's so many great songs those guys have. It's crazy. All right, one last thing before we get to the survey. So last week we talked about briefly how Slash had announced that he was moving away from Marshall. We discovered that that's not true. What the actual truth is that he is sticking with Marshall now. He announced this, I guess. Marshall, the guys over at Marshall probably freaked out when they heard rumors of this, but what seems to be the truth is that he's going to be sticking with Marshall. He's still working on that Magnatone project as a sideline, which I would assume Marshall's not crazy about, but hey, what are you going to do? So there's no fear for the time being for the people over at Marshall, because Slash is going to still be endorsing the Marshall name, the Marshall brand, and of course that means a lot, has a lot of weight behind it, and sells a lot of amplifiers, let's face it. Once the Magnatone model is finished, who knows what that's going to mean, and we're not really sure what's going to happen down the road, but for the time being, it seems like Marshall is still going to be on the radar in terms of his backline. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief for that one. Let's look at the poll question here before we wrap up today's show. For those of you that have stuck around for the entire thing, I appreciate that. And so the question on the poll was, when playing guitar, with others, what role do you find yourself naturally gravitating towards? And the options were lead guitar, rhythm guitar, or both. So for me, it's both. I will gravitate between rhythm and lead. You know, if I didn't do my homework and I didn't fully learn that lead phrase on the song, I'll stick to rhythm. I'll just go through it and play the chords and try and fake my way through it. If I was a good boy and I studied and I did put in the time to learn the entire thing, I have no problem playing lead and jumping into a lead break or something like that. But I don't necessarily stick to one. Some of you might. So let's look at the numbers. So there was 196 people that voted. Well, actually, let me just refresh that because maybe there's more now. Yeah, 200 people voted. Okay. So 200 people voted, and it seems to be that the most popular answer out of the bunch was I could comfortably switch between both, and girls love it. So 49% of you says that's what category you fit into. At 41%, so not that far off, we're looking at most people say that rhythm guitar is the one for them because who needs the headache of having to learn leads? 41%. And only 11% of you have said lead guitar because it's much cooler. So only 11% of you prefer to play only lead, nothing else. So I think that makes sense. I think, playing just lead could be a little bit boring. It's nice to be able to do both, and it's, I think, more natural to actually end up doing both. But some of you might like just strumming the country chords and playing rhythm, and that's satisfying enough for you guys. So there's nothing wrong with that, and that'll do the job as well. Perhaps you like singing along too, and just that's one thing that I learned a long time ago. If you go somewhere and people learn that you're a guitarist and they say, hey, why don't you play something? And you just start playing leads. It's a little bit awkward because, they don't know what song you're playing, and it looks like you're just doing finger exercises. Whereas if you can actually play a rhythm, they recognize the song and then go into the lead. It makes for a more natural transition, right? So that's it. I think that's going to be about it for today, guys, unless I'm forgetting something. We're going to wrap it up. I think we had a really nice discussion. We stayed online for about an hour and a half, which is, I think, good, manageable, enough not to bore people, hopefully. And Gene says the Gibson Sparkle Burgundy is an awesome color, so he's leaning towards that. Yeah, nice color for sure. And Marcel says, guys, hit that like button to help Tony. I appreciate that, Marcel. Thank you for reminding them. I think most of you guys participated very nicely today. We had a really nice discussion about a lot of different things, and it flowed nicely. So I'm happy to have had this time with you. Please remember, next week we will have a special guest. If you guys want to participate in that one, it'll be at a different time slot. But you're more than welcome to jump in if you feel like it. And we'll be probably discussing gear, but with an emphasis on pickups again. And I think you can learn a couple of things if you're interested in that. All right, that's it. Please keep your eye open for some new videos that are going to be popping up this week on my channel. I always appreciate your comments. And, we're going to be here again next Sunday. So if you're just tuning in, if you just jumped in like Joe, hey Joe, nice to see you, buddy. Unfortunately, we're wrapping it up, but you'll be able to watch the rerun in just the rerun is posted right away. The comments, unfortunately, require a little bit more time. Unfortunately, YouTube probably takes about a day, as much as a day, just to be able to process all of the comments. I like watching the reruns with the comments, because then you get to understand what I'm talking about, and you get to see what people are commenting. So if you want to see the rerun with the comments, I would say just wait a little bit, and then you can watch it in all its glory. All right. So nice to see Joe here. Joe, tune in next time, 10 o'clock, 10:30. Usually 10:30 in the morning. Next week will be a bit different, but you'll. Ken, nice to see you. Bob says, great show as usual. Thank you, Bob. Eddie, great show, says Eddie. Thank you for the kind words, guys. Dan, rock and roll buddy. Marcel, always looking forward to seeing you on the chats as well. And Billy Beer says, chugga, chugga, chugga. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy your Sunday. And don't forget to practice. And stay tuned for those challenges, those 30-day challenges. They're going to be popping up. All right. Take care, guys. See you soon.